All right, now we want to talk about decorating the clay. We have created our vessel, we put a footer on it. This is a finished one, so it's already been glazed, but it's also a very simple one. This is like a C- level because all it is where we already got to glazed and they have one mold on there. What's gonna get you to the A is you need a few things. One, you either need a handle or a lid. I'll show you some examples of ones, particularly with lids, but a handle or a lid that goes with it. The next thing is you need to have at least one mold, preferably two, could have more molds on there. You also need some decoration or pattern, incising, pressing into the clay, creating a texture within the clay, something to make the whole thing a little more visually interesting. What I'm going to demonstrate right now is molds. Now, I have some silicone molds of beach-related things like sea creatures and seashells. I also have a decent amount of flowers and flower-related molds, and I also have some skulls and sort of death-related things. So you have to think of like, what is the theme of my piece? Is it about nature? Is it about insects and flowers? Is it just about flowers? Is it about, there's an Italian idea called memento mori, remember death, a reminder to store up your treasure for the next life and stuff like that. That's very common in art history. So it could be something related to that, but there's some kind of cohesive, meaning it all works together, theme. I'm going to attempt to pull a very difficult one. This skull is very deep. A shallower mold is probably easier to do. I have a sock with starch in it, and that's going to make it so that the clay doesn't stick inside of there. And so I'm just going to lightly tap that a little bit and sort of frost it around in there a little bit so that it's got some starch in. Then I'm going to get my clay and I'm going to press my clay down into there. And it's probably getting smashed on the table too, so I might have to hold this kind of in my hands because this one's tricky. I'm not even sure if it's going to work. This is more for making food, these molds, but I thought they would be cool. So I'm going to see if I can pull one. See how this went. I pressed it all in there as best as I could. And now I'm going to see if it pops out without sticking. And that's not going very easily. So, may find this very difficult. The clay's sticking to the areas that I did not get the starch onto. Okay, I might have something somewhat usable from that. And then I would get a little tool, cut around this, and that was a very, very difficult mold to work with. I'll show you a better one here. But I may have something I can kind of work with that if I score, slip, and blend, I might be able to attach this to the side of my clay. And it could be kind of cool looking. Allow me to quickly demonstrate a much easier skull mold. This one is much shallower. So if I take some moist clay and I press it into here, kind of pressing it down even all the way around. And I'm very careful as I lift. That's a much easier mold, and I could cut around this and that would go on there way better than this super fat one, which is going to be much trickier to work with. Could work as a handle or something. We'd have to see that the shallower molds are going to work a little bit better on there, and you're going to have some fairly moist clay when you do it. Here's an example of a student piece from the past that has some cool flower images on it. And you can see how she's applied these flower molds to the side and attached them. Look at the little impressed hearts that she did to create a pattern. Here's another example of one where they've used molds to kind of add some interest to the piece. This is what we're trying to do to get it to that A level.